If you have ever had a child cry over a writing assignment, this video is for you. I had a child who used to cry over writing assignments, and I will explain to you why. But this video is about the curriculum that changed that for all of us and made my entire homeschool a much more calm, relaxing place to be. And I really enjoy that. My favorite IEW product by far is Structure and Style, because that is what taught my children how to write. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that, because not all writing curriculum is equal. And that is a hill I will die on, because I tried it all. I tried every single writing curriculum out there, it seems, and none of them was really jiving with my kids, because a lot of them were exactly the same. Also, if you want to try Structure and Style completely risk-free, they have a 3-week trial of this. That's what we used, and I was sold, completely sold after the 3-week trial. I will put it right here on the screen so you can go and check it out. Writing was a huge struggle in my homeschool. I had one child who didn't mind writing, but his sentences were really choppy. There was no flow to them, and the style of his writing sometimes didn't make sense because there was just, like, his stories didn't flow correctly. And so he struggled in that area. And then my youngest child would just fall to pieces when he was really young, because he would get extremely frustrated at just having a prompt. And that's what it seems like most curriculum is when it comes to writing. The curriculum will tell you, write a story about a bug. And he would get so frustrated because he was like, Mom, I don't know what they want. What do they want about this bug? I don't understand. How am I supposed to write about a bug? I don't have a story up here. How do I get a story up here? And this is where it became really difficult for me, because I write a lot and I like writing, and it comes really naturally to me. And I think that's what made it more difficult, was I know how to write, but I don't know how to explain how to write. That wasn't my area of expertise. So that was a little bit difficult for me. So I went on the hunt to find a solution, and I started just getting all different kinds of writing curriculums, everything in the language arts area. And then I heard all the moms talking about IEW. Most of the other language arts curriculums, when it came to writing, all said the same thing. Write a paragraph, write an essay, write a story, and it never explained how. And that was the most frustrating part, was, okay, but how? Explain how to write an essay. What if a child doesn't know how to write an essay? This is the first time he's ever written an essay. There was no lead up to it. It was just, write this essay. And my oldest kid, he was like, okay, I'm gonna give it my best shot. But my youngest, he was just like, I don't know. That's the big difference with IEW. IEW will teach your kids how to write and not just tell them what to write. And that is my favorite part of IEW. IEW, I feel like, really saved our homeschool. It saved so much frustration. It saved so many tears. And I am forever grateful to them for that. So we tried Structure and Style. So this is the newer one. When we first tried Structure and Style, it did not look like this. This is the updated version. And this is level C. So this is the high school book. I don't have the younger books with me right now, but I actually have all of them, level A, B, and C, where my kids did all of the writing from elementary through high school. And that is the thing that I love about IEW. IEW, with Andrew Pudewa, he takes them through the writing process from beginning to end. And he uses a process called keyword outlines. And these keyword outlines, I feel like I make keyword outlines at this point. He goes through how to do this step by step. And the great thing is the more they do it, the more confident they get. And then they start launching into creative writing. So they learn the basics of writing, and then they really start moving along, and they learn these concepts over and over and over again throughout each level. So they're basically learning the same thing in level A that they learn in level B and in level C. It's just more complex each time. So they're building upon each one. But you can jump into IEW no matter if your child is in elementary, middle, or high school, which is the great thing because they're going to learn the basics no matter where they jump in. So no matter where your launching point is, even if you are you have a high schooler and you want them to have a good writing course, you can jump into this. Now, the great thing is within a couple of months, everything really started to click with them with all of the videos and learning the step-by-step process. And all of a sudden, the tears stopped and writing was no longer a struggle. I loved it. It was just so calming for everybody in the house because there was no more frustration. And then within 6 months, not even the full school year, within 6 months, I looked at some of their writings from the previous year to, 6 months into IEW, and the difference was night and day. Everything flowed. There were no more choppy sentences anymore because Mr. Pudawa goes through how to write a good sentence and different check marks and benchmarks that they need to have within each paragraph. And all of a sudden their writing flowed and it had depth and meaning and it actually followed a good pattern. I had just such a sigh of relief just as a parent going through all of that with them and seeing their writing transform before my eyes. And when I say night and day, I mean night and day. You would not realize that the same child that wrote one essay wrote the other one, and it has followed them throughout their school career. Not only that, but my youngest, who used to break down in third, fourth grade over the other writing assignments, all of a sudden started writing his own creative stories. He actually wrote a book about an animal, and I have it still. It was so cute. He wrote it all by himself, and he used all the keyword outlines and things, all the helps that he learned from IEW to make his own story for fun. And he really enjoyed that, and I enjoyed seeing that. It almost made me tear up as a parent to see a kid who hated something learn to love it because it was taught in a way that he understood. And then my oldest, he took what he learned from IEW in those courses and he applied it to other things. So he's 19 now. And last year when he graduated high school and was doing the whole college application process, he actually used the IEW Structure and Style writing material because once you learn this, it's really hard not to do it anymore. And for his application essay, I noticed that he was using those IEW benchmarks in there, and it was really cool to see that. And they loved his essay. And he got into the program that he wanted, but it was really cool to see that because it's like, wow, like you really see this stuff mature over the years. Not only that, but he actually used it in some of his classes. I read some of his papers and he was getting phenomenal grades, but he was also using the skills that he learned in IEW for studying, for writing his papers and everything else. And then the cool thing is his friends in the course asked him for his help because he was getting such good grades, and they wanted to know, like, hey, how are you doing this? Like, how are you writing all of this? And he actually explained to them the tips that he learned from these courses. And I thought that was really cool because, like, you love to see your kids succeed and, things that they have learned. And that was one of them. That was one of the really cool moments where he came home and he's like, Mom, you will not believe what happened today. So I 100% stand behind IEW as a company. They are one of the best out there when it comes to language arts, when it comes to writing. And I think that it makes your students so much stronger in the area of writing. And that is why it is my favorite product. So if you have not tried IEW and you want to give it a try, they actually have a free 3-week trial that you can do totally risk-free. You just put in your email. I will put the link down below in my description and I will put it up here on the video. So let me know down in the comments, is writing something that was really frustrating for your kids, or does it come naturally to them? Because I find that it's usually one or the other. It's one extreme or the other. They either struggle or it just comes really naturally to them. Thanks guys for hanging out with me today, and I will see you in the next video. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and happy homeschooling.